Hi everyone, welcome to Liza's Paint Parties. I'm Liza and we are doing our weekly live free paint party tonight. This is Wednesday, September the 1st, and I'm very happy to be, if you're joining me today. This week we are going to be painting our version of this photo. This photo is by Michael Lyons. He's a Canadian photographer. You can check out his website. The link is in the details below or beside, depending where you're watching this. You can check out his website if you want to see more of his paintings, or sorry, photos. This week, this one is one that won our vote. So we're going to be doing our version of this. So I'd like you to think about how you want to capture this seemingly or deceptively simple image and how we want to approach it in paint. So for anyone who hasn't joined before, I'll just kind of walk through how this all goes. First of all, welcome if you haven't joined before, and also if you have, welcome back. I'm glad that you're tuning in. So every week I host free live paint parties here on Facebook, and then I also cross-post them later to YouTube. Basically, we have three options that I put up on the site every Saturday around noon Eastern Standard Time, and then everyone votes on which one's their favorite. Lately, over the past couple of weeks, we've been doing photos from my friend Michael Lyons, since he has a beautiful eye and is able to capture some really amazing shots, which are very inspirational and fun to paint. So we've been doing that. The one with the most votes by the following Tuesday is the one that I paint live on the Wednesday evening. This is the first time that I'll be painting my version of this photo. So I'll walk you through my process on how I'll be approaching recreating this. So again, I encourage you to have fun with it, and if you have experience with paint before, feel free to leave some comments and some tips and some other things to let anyone else know if they have any questions about anything. And if you're new, please feel free to let us know, and we can walk you through some of those points as well, or try our best to. Since this is virtual, you can see me, but I can't really see yours, unfortunately. And so if you do enjoy this and you'd like to ever do like a virtual party with me so we can actually see each other over Zoom, you can definitely reach out, like just private message me, and we can arrange something like that too. I've done a few birthday parties and some other fun events in the past, and they're always really great. Tonight we have the scammers are active again. So if you see any random links, like the ones right now that are in the comments on the Facebook page, don't click them, because if you can see me, you're where you need to be. You don't need to go anywhere else. So I'm just going to see if I can. Nope, it doesn't show up on here, and that is frustrating. All right, let me go here. I'm just gonna try to do these here. Hi, Sherry. Thanks for joining. So yeah, just don't click. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is a bot. I guess I give sure it's like some kind of randomness, but regardless, don't click those. I don't really know where it goes or what the point is. I don't know if it's just literally to get clicks and stuff. I'm not sure, but I just don't want anyone to like give personal information out. So if we see those pop up, I'll try to make sure I can delete them, but just please don't click them. And anyone else who might join afterwards, if they start coming up, sometimes they like to, a bunch of them go in a row, just make a comment that it's there, or I think you might be able to say that the person, or I'm not sure exactly, but you can like report it or something maybe on your end. If not, I'll try to just delete them as much as I can as I go. Usually I try to ban them, but it's not coming up that way. Anyways, enough talk about that crappy stuff. What we'll do is we'll start focusing on painting together. So like I said, if you want to do any private parties, feel free to reach out to me and we can arrange something. If you're in the Greater Toronto area, and you want to do something in person, I'm looking at starting that up again. So if you're interested, please again also reach out to me, and then we can talk about perhaps doing something in person as well. If you're in the greater Toronto area. Otherwise, it would be virtual if you're interested in doing anything besides these with me. Okay. And also lastly, if you did want to leave a tip, there's a link there, and that's a legitimate link, the Buy Me a Coffee link. If you want to, you do not have to, but just don't click on any of the random other bot links that might pop up. Don't do that. If you're going to give money to someone, give it to me, not to them. But you don't have to give me any money. Anyways, so yeah, just that's pretty much the spiel there, and we're going to start painting soon. What I would suggest, if you want, is this photo was posted on the post from yesterday, like saying what the winner was. So you can always go back to that post and grab that as a screenshot, or just download that picture and use that as reference as I'm going through. I will have this available, like my iPad will sit on the screen so you can see it as we go, but sometimes with the lighting in the room or even just through the screen, it can be hard for you to look at the original one. So if just as a tip, if you'd want to do that. But essentially, we will get started momentarily. I'll go through what the supplies I have are and what I'll be using. So first up is my canvas. So I like to use a canvas board. This is an 11 by 14, and I'll be doing it in this landscape rotation or format. Sorry. I need to have some virtual assistant come on and get rid of all of these random posts. Fun times. Okay. So, canvas board. I use a canvas board just for practical purposes because I've been painting. This is my 80th paint party. So also all the paint parties, if you're watching and you can't join right away, you can always watch this later. So you can watch this anytime you want. It's under the videos tab on the Facebook page, or it'll be on my Facebook channel, also called Liza's Painting Party. So you can watch it there, whatever you prefer. Okay. Yeah, so I just prefer this. If you're using an actual canvas, I do find the quality is quite better and a little bit easier to manipulate when we're trying different things with paint. But I do quite like these for practical purposes, and to pop them into different like frames and whatnot. Oh, thanks for trying, Sherry. I appreciate that. I've been trying. I think I've been deleting them all, so hopefully it's all good. Hi, Kim. Hi, Susan. Oh, glad. I know. It's so frustrating. Anyways, okay, so let's continue on. In terms of other supplies, obviously I have my paint. So I use acrylic paint from the Dollarama. So I just have basic. So if you have yellow, blue, red as your primary colors, and black and white, then we can kind of make anything that you want from that. The thing is, when you're getting paint, try to get them more of like a medium tones. Sometimes at the Dollarama, there'll be like a tropical blue, which is very bright or light, and that's not going to be the best to be able to do different mixes with. So try to, if you're going to get those, like a paint, just do like a medium tone of it, just so it stays more balanced in what you want to do, because you can always like lighten it or darken it with the other colors. Or you can get some other tones as well if you so desire. So I have a few other ones, like some green and some pre-mixed other colors too, just to make things a little bit easier. I really like the Copenhagen blue from the Dollarama, and I use usually bright yellow, which is funny. I was saying to stay away from bright, but I do like that, and I have bright red right now too. So those are the ones I'm actually using. Cool. So that's what I have going on there. I have my palette as well, so you can have something just so you can pop your paints on and you can mix things. I often mix right on my canvas and do things right on there. If you've seen previous parties, that's what I like to do. I also have paper towel, water containers. I usually have 2 ready to go since they get quite messy quite quickly. I have a pencil sometimes just in case we need to like sketch things out. And for all of our parties, I suggest having at least 3 different sizes of paintbrushes. However, if you have more, that's fantastic, obviously. But what I would say, if you're looking for just like the basic of what I would suggest is you have something large with to do a lot of coverage on your canvas. This is a size 10. A medium brush, this is a size 2. Sometimes they use a size 4. And then this one's a fine tip brush. And it's just like a very fine, so it gives me nice lines and more control over my painting. But again, it really is whatever is convenient for you and what you like. I really like the way these ones are. These bristles are quite soft. And to do some of I want to get some of this like blurriness happening from our inspiration photo. And we'll have to play with that to see how that will go. And I'm excited to try that out and see how we're going to be able to accomplish that. Perfect. Do I have a link to my YouTube? You know what, Susan? I'm not sure if I do. I will check and see. I'll see. I don't know. Can I even comment on my own? Oh, I can. Look at that. Let me see if I can find that for you. But yeah, I don't know if I do actually. I don't think I do have a link for it on there. But if you search Liza's painting parties on YouTube, then it will come up. But I'll see if I can, I'll make sure I add it. I want to do a few things differently on the Facebook page, and I'm planning to do a few changes to the way this flows out. I've been doing this for over a year now. So you'll see, like I said, today's the 80th paint party. So all of my other videos are available for you to watch. And I'm just trying to think of a couple different ways to proceed with it. So you'll see some upcoming changes shortly on what that will look like. I'm still hashing out a few details. All right, so without further ado, yes. Let me see if I can block anyone else on here. That is scammy. No. Okay, I guess we'll just start. All right, so we'll get started. So when we start, or whenever I start to do any painting, I always start with whatever's furthest in the background of the screen. So we're going to be playing with this blurry water, like sky, blurry piece of land kind of vibe. That's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. So we want, if you want to start putting paint on your palette, you want to put a little bit of black. You want to get some white going on. It doesn't have blue. I do see like a little bit of elements. I am going to play with a little bit of blue in it. So I'm going to put a bit of blue as well. So that's what we're going to start with. So if you want to start putting that on your palette, we can start. I'll put it on mine, and then I'll show you what I put on there. And what I'll also do is I will move my canvas, because even though I do like being the center of attention, I think you'd want to see this a bit more. Awesome. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. It still shows on your screen. I did delete them from this side, but I guess it didn't delete them on your guys' side, which really sucks. And it's also like, it's weird. I think they were getting smarter. The bots are getting smarter, which I guess makes sense, right? Computers are always eventually going to just outsmart us all. Okay. So, in terms of composition, what I want to do before I dive in and start actually applying the paint to the canvas is I want to think about where things are going to sit on it in relation to my inspiration photo. So if I look here, I'll take a look and I'll say, okay, this piece of wood, this dock, goes more than halfway up. So it's about, if I say halfway is about this point here, right? It's, you know, this is about a quarter. So it's a little bit just above the halfway line. So I'm just going to eyeball it really. So if I say this is about halfway, then that wood's probably going to come up to about there or so. So I'm just going to put a little marker just for myself to have an idea of where I want my sky to be and my water, and where I want that piece of wood to start. It's going to be about there, more or less. Okay. And that's just for my own reference. That's how I like to do. That's all I'm going to put in right now, and then we might play with other things later. So I'm going to focus primarily with this part here first. And it's a very blurry background of water and land and sky. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to get my big brush, and I'm going to get water on it. So just put some water on it. And I'm just going to wet my canvas. Now, I want to wet it. I don't want it to be soaking. And on a canvas board, it doesn't soak in the same way as it does on an actual canvas. So on your actual canvas, you'll do it, and you might be like, oh, like it doesn't even seem to be wet. But it actually soaks it in because it is material, and so it actually holds in the water quite nicely. We're going to move quickly when we start painting, because we're going to want to start blending right on the actual board fast. I'm just dabbing the my canvas board because unlike an actual canvas, the board doesn't soak it in the same way. So I'm just taking off the excess water. If it's too much water, if you're using a board like me and there's too much water, it will just like drip and that will just suck. So we don't want that to happen. I told you guys to put paint on your palette, but I did not do that yet. So I'm going to get my paint going. So I'm going to get a glob of white, and then I'll show you. I don't have a camera showing my palette, but I'll lift it up and I'll show you kind of like how much of each that I've put on. I always try to go less than more because I'm cheap and conservative on my paints. That's about how much more or less, if that gives you an idea of how much of each paint I'm putting. Okay, so what I want to start doing is I want to start getting the sky in first, and the sky is predominantly like a white kind of gray. So I'm going to get a lot of white on my brush and just start to like pop this paint here, kind of haphazardly, just to get it on my actual canvas. And then I'm going to get a little bit of black, just because I want to get it a little bit gray. And I'm just going to put a few like lines of black, kind of all over the place. Then I'm going to go back to my white, and I'm going to do like kind of like swooshy X's all over the place. It's like where the sky is and where the water will be. And I'm not being shy with getting my white paint. I'm putting like big globs. And I am working pretty quickly because I don't want those black lines to just like dry up and just be weird black lines on my canvas. I want it to blend in, but not blend in so everything's just gray, but it has a little bit of a gradient. Like some areas might be a little bit darker, some areas might be a little bit lighter, and we're using the white to blend it out. I haven't put any more black in. It's literally just been those little lines that you saw a moment ago. You also want to get the tops and the sides of your canvas as you go. So as you're going and you have extra paint on your brush, just like paint that out as well. So it's just very, 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 very light. Because I really don't want, it's like everyone's looking like, oh, it's just white. Exciting painting you're painting there. So that's all I'm going to do as of right now. I want to put in a little bit of blue, just a little bit, even though like you can't really see the blue, but I want like just a hint of it. And I want it to live kind of like here, I think. Yes, maybe a little bit in the water. And everything's still wet. Okay. And now, after just touching with the blue, I'm going to go back in with my white and then again blend it out with the white. So I want it to be almost like you can't, it's just like a whisper of it. That whisper disappeared entirely. So I'm just going to put a little bit more blue. Okay. There we go. That's a little bit more what I wanted. If you can see, but it has just like, ooh, that got really blurry. It's just like a little hint of like blue, but it's just a little wispy. Because we're going to put more things on this. This is just to give get the color going on here. I'm moving pretty quickly, like I said, because we want to get that down. Okay, so from here, there is like a little bit of a hint of land here, but it's so blurry we can't even see it. So I'm not sure how to approach that exactly. Dun, dun, dun. This piece of land is a little bit easier because it's more prominent. So the land piece on this side is we're just gonna eyeball it. It's about like 1/5, I would say, more or less. It starts about 1/5 of the way down and it comes up to almost the top. Okay, so I'm gonna start to put in a line of black on top of my still wet canvas. I'm still using my big brush, even though maybe I should have swapped it out, but I'm gonna be a rebel today and use this brush. Okay, we're just gonna start putting in this like land here, and it can follow similar shape to what we see in our inspiration image, or you can make it your own piece and have different little bumps and grooves and whatever else you want happening. A little higher. Okay, plant going on there. I'm gonna clean off my brush. Now what I want to do is I want to get a bit of this, like, I want to get it blended a little bit so it doesn't have such sharp lines. And what I'm thinking of doing is I'm thinking I'm getting a dry brush and trying to blend it out. So I'm going to try it and we'll see how it works. And if it doesn't work well, then you can learn from my mistake and not do it. So I'm just going over with my dry brush and just like messing up my like straight line, because the paint is still kind of wet and the background's still wet. It's like messing it up. That looks like a floating mountain. I'm gonna do the same thing for the top. Just gonna keep cleaning my brush, because as I make it straighter, like it becomes more of like a solid line, but then that doesn't give me like the gradient I need to become, for it to become like blurry. So I'm just using the paper towel and like wiping off my brush frequently so that I'm not putting the dark areas into the lighter areas, and I'm still keeping it into like a gradient into the background. Maybe better to use like a bigger brush. I think I saw someone do a blending kind of thing with like a real, I forgot what they called it. It almost looked like a powder brush. It was a really big fluffy brush. I think that would work really well. Use a little bit of white just to soften some of it with the edges, because some of it had dried and it just looks harsh and I don't like it. So I'm just going to soften it with the white. Probably use a little bit of water to soften it too. I'm just worried. I don't want it to become like, oh yeah, that worked. Okay. Very lightly with water. Okay. If you're going to use water, just be cautious it doesn't all become the same color. That's what I find when I use water to try to blend the paint. It just makes it all like one color, and that's not what I want to do. I just want to make it blurry. So I have it a little bit blurry now. Blush makeup brush. Exactly, Kim. That's exactly what I'm, yeah, 100%. That would work really good, I think. Now I'm just debating whether I want to, I feel like this edge looks a little, like it's blurry, but almost too blurry. Like I've kind of lost where the mountain like edges. So I'm just going to try to fix that up slightly by putting some white just to define it a little bit more while still keeping it like the mountain is there. Like the line of where that mountain is. Okay, I'm just going to darken it up a little bit with black on the inside. Okay, cool. Soften it slightly as I do that. And also down here. Okay. So there. So I have like this like it looks blurry, but it is actually blurry. It's not just the camera showing you the camera's off, but it's just like a blurry mountain background now. Okay. Some idea that there's land there. There's a little bit of land on that side too. You know what? Let's pop that in too. Why not? Let's see what we're going to do here. There's a little bit of something happening. I'm just going to put in black. Okay. Now we're going to get white. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so we have a little blurry backgrounds happening there. Okay, so now I want to still continue playing a little bit with the water because we see a little bit of changes and a little bit of coloring happening with it, but it's still very bright in certain spots. So I don't really want to do too much to it because I still want to keep it like blurry and in the background. So how am I going to do this? So I think I'm going to use my brush and I'm just going to again wet it, just like wet down the area that I already painted over, but I'm just going to oops, I put too much water on there. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on top. Okay. I'm going to go back and use my big brush again. Okay, and I already need some more white. I need a lot of white. I think I need a lot of white on this painting. This helps me blend things out nicely. Okay, so putting some white in. I just want to get it all wet again so we can play a little bit with some of the like glistening that might be happening in the water. And I do think now I'm going to go back to my smaller brush to do that. Now that I put all that in. Okay, so let's do this brush now. Okay, so I want to put a little bit, black in, but I don't want a lot. So. A little bit of like weird shimmer things happening here, so I just want to have some ripples or something happening. So that black. Now let's go back to the white, and then just like blend it out. So just use the white paint and go. You want to keep the streakiness still happening to have the like reflections or the movement of the water, but we just want to like dull it out a little bit. So you just want to have a bit more, you're feeling a little bit more like water. And you see that it's a little bit more like, has the feeling of water instead of it just being like blendy sky. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue too. I want to get a bit, and I think I'm going to put a little bit on this side here. I'm just going to try to like kiss it slightly. That was a big kiss. And I'm going to put a little bit on this side too. Okay, I'll clean off that brush. I'm going to go with white, and then I'm going to just go right over it, very like lightly, just to dull it out. I want to keep some of the streakiness. I don't want to blend it fully. I just want to, I want to have a little bit of those lines popping, but I still want it to be almost like not noticeable. And just over it with like very lightly. Even a little bit of water, because I think there's some little areas that I want to just soften with water. Here now there's no, oh, it's a little bit odd. Okay, it does even more so now. This brush is not working fully yet. Let me fix this. I'm just touching up my land back here because I just didn't like the way it looked. I'm just going back over kind of what I did earlier. Just touch it up. I'm still not a super fan of it. I might have to still play with that a bit more. But that is normal. Yeah, see, now that's just blurry on my camera's just got blurry. That makes it better or worse. This is my hand. There we go. Yes? Maybe? Maybe because the painting's blurry now, the camera's just confused. So I have like kind of the feeling of water. I'm still weird about this part here, but I'll play with that up afterwards. So it just has like a blurry background happening. Okay, so the next thing I want to put in is I want to start putting in this feeling of like wood. So it has to be more stable, and it's blurry up until this dark line. There's a little bit of detail on that other piece here too. But we're going to make it like a blurry wood effect about this far down. So we only have, again, about 1/5 of the bottom is where it's going to be a lot more noticeable, and it is on a slight angle. So we may start at 1/5, but then it ends up being only like, oh gosh, like 1/10 maybe of it. So kind of, this line will kind of be a bit of a curve. Although this line is pretty darn straight, this one does have a bit of an angle on it. So we'll just keep that in mind when we get there. We're not going there just yet, but we are going to start playing with putting in the wood. Okay. So what colors do we need? Well, we definitely still need white, which I have to add even more white because we're going to be blending with it so much. We need the black. I'm going to put a bit of yellow. If you have brown, use it. If you don't have brown, you can mix brown by putting equal parts blue, red, and yellow, and you'll get a brown. So I do have a brown. This one's called cinnamon brown. Has a bit of like it's a bit more red to it. There's a little bit, and it has a lot of chunky dry bits to it. That's not helpful. Okay, there we go. Probably gonna need more than that. Okay, there we go. I'll play with it. We'll make it later and darker as we go. All right. Excuse me. So I think to start, I just want to get some paint on here, and then we'll solid up the line once we have that, even though it's still going to be a bit blurry, as we see. So let's grab a big brush again. Okay. We are going to wet your canvas down, this next part of it. And I would suggest I would do the entire part, even though you have a section where that leaf's going to live. But I would just, especially for the blurry technique and just to make everything seem seamless, I would do the entire thing. And then we'll paint the leaf on top of it afterwards. I'm just going to let this up a little bit more on top here. Okay. And again, I'm just going to dab because I'm using this board and it doesn't really soak in the water very well. I don't want it to be super runny. Okay, fantastico. Okay, so again, I'm going to start in, what am I going to start in actually? I think I'm going to put in a little bit of brown, and then I'm going to use white afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in some streaks of brown. And then I'm going to get my white, and I'm going to go in the white spaces and into the brown streaks I've done and start to blend it out. To start already creating a bit of the streakiness. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm working quickly because I want to try to get the paint to stay wet as I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of black, so I want to get it gray. That's a little bit too much. Ishka. That's okay. Goes a little bit too crazy. You just wipe it off, and I do want it to be darker here. Where that like edge is. Okay. Let's get more white. Okay, so I want to start building it a bit. So there's a bit of a darker line happening at the back, right? So I do want it to be a little darker back here. And there's a little bit of streakiness, which I think I have going on there, which is nice. Okay. A bit of a line there. It almost looks like a beach right now. That's kind of cool. Okay. And then we have a bit of a line happening like about here. So I need to get that line coming across. Freehanding makes it not so straight. Okay. And I want it to come about like that. Okay. So I'm going to get white now, and I'm just going to make it lighter, just the area above it. Try to blend it, without getting rid of it. The brush moved slightly. I just took away my line. Trying to do this very loosely. That's not usually my style. So that's kind of like this heavier line there. And then we still have a bit of a heavier line. We have a bit of a line like just behind it. So let's pop that in too. Where does that go to? It goes about there or so. And then it's like here. Okay. Nope. So I want it to be a bit darker. Nope, too much. The brush is not going to work for this. Okay, so I want to get some more white and then try to blend it slightly so the line isn't so harsh. I'm just trying to be super careful because I don't want it just to become white. I want it to still have a bit of a definition there. Okay, and I want to put in a little bit of the brown to still have that come through. I still want it to feel very blurry. And then we want to continue on. Now it's already starting to get quite dry again. Okay, so I'm going to put in some white here. Let's blend that a little bit. Okay, and then there's kind of another one that we want to put in, and that's going to be tricky now because it's not as dry, or it's quite dry, I should say. The other one's going to come down here. And higher. I'm going to come like here-ish. Oh, thanks, Cindy. Yeah, it is a beautiful picture. It's so simple but really, really good eye. It's a tricky one to paint, though. I gotta say, like, this blurriness is whew, it's a challenge, that's for sure. I'm using water a bit as I'm going through it, just to soften it. Okay, so now we get into this area before we get into that really heavy, very clear black line. That's like a groove on this dock that really stands out, where everything starts to become a lot more clear. So I'm just putting white right now, right on the canvas. I need a little bit of brown just so I can play with it a touch on here too. I still want to do mostly white and gray, but I do want that brown in here. I already need more white again. I use so much white. Let's make it a little bit gray because it's too much. Too much. Like it says, put some black in there, and I'm just gonna go with white and go on top. Just to get the coloring that I want down. Before we start playing more with the specifics. I feel like I kind of want to bring this color all the way down to the bottom, which I'm going to do that right now.
might as well. And then you can add the detailing all at once. So I'm just bringing white all the way down. Okay, so where this heavier line, this one, is gonna end about here, and it gets pulled up higher to about there. Okay, so let's just open that up. Okay, it goes up oddly. Hi, Joe. Yeah, about like that. I feel like my line became like a little bit of a mountain curve instead of a line from one point to the other. It's a little better. That's better. Okay. I fixed the line below it now. That's right. We got that going, which is better. Okay. It's definitely very blendy. Okay, so I think I want to use a different brush. Oh, thanks, Sherry. Yeah, the story with that is I actually do quite enjoy these silent sounds more and more now. The reason why I started doing like nature sounds in the background, so this is actually like a YouTube track that has like nature sounds, was I had my window open and there was birds chirping and a lot of people were like, oh, it sounds so nice, and I agree, it did sound like really lovely. But also I would love to be able to play music and have it more like, you know, just kind of like get into a groove, whether it's calming or whatever. But everything's copywritten, so you can't just play anything. You have to like get the rights for it. And since this is free, don't exactly have the funds to be like, oh, let's pay for that. So a few of my videos before I got, I had to take out certain parts and stuff and like mute certain aspects of it, and it kind of ruined the flow. So I went this route instead. Nature sounds. It's nice, and I don't get in trouble with copyright police. Okay, I'm using a little bit of brown. I'm just lightening up a bit because I want to put in some of the details But a lot of it's black. I don't want to go that route yet. I think I'm just gonna play a little bit with the brown, just to put a little bit of the lines so that we can kind of see a little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the black because I think I need to straighten up this line a little bit more. So. Freehanding a straight line. Definitely, this does not make it straight. I drank too much coffee, I think. I'm darkening it up a little bit on the inside. Yeah, there has been birds in the past that are tweeting up the storm, but no, right now they are my digital friends. Okay, so let's see if I can get a few of these little lines and the grains in black. Okay. Two lines here. I noticed there's like a few little baby ones. I'm gonna make them too thick. I don't want to. bit of a brown, like a darker line, like lines, but they're like lighter. They're more of a brown or like a lighter gray or something. I don't know. There's a few more, but I want them to be slightly different color. Okay. Okay, I think there's a little bit more brown happening. And a few of these lines like that too, I think. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it for now. And we're going to move on to do the leaf and the shadow of the leaf. There's some like really bright spots too. You know, actually before I do that, I do want to actually put in some white. More in this area here. There's quite a bit of brightness here. I think I just kind of missed out on it, so I just want to make that a little brighter. Okay, that's better. Okay. All right, now it totally looks like a beach right now. It doesn't have the same effect. Maybe we'll change yours into a beach. Why not? Okay, so I want to get this leaf in place. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, we're just going to kind of go for it. That's usually my approach to things. I think I'm going to use my brown because it kind of has like that vibe that I want, and then I'll play with some other colors and like lighten and darken as necessary. I want that brown to be a little bit, I'm not sure, kind of like an orangey brown. Okay, we're going to go for it, and then we'll make adjustments as we go. I'm just debating, I don't know if I want to use my fine brush right now or if my medium brush will be better for this process. I think I'm going to go fine. No, I think I want to do my medium brush just because I can get more coverage and then I can go back in and do some fine points afterwards. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay. So I'm going to use my brown paint right now. Okay. So I want to start kind of where the middle is, and then I'm going to build it out. So my leaf is going to live, I would say, like here, like that's kind of like the middle of where it will be. Okay, and then it's gonna, one of the leaves are gonna come out like here. Ooh. About. Okay, and one of the points gonna come maybe like here-ish. That's that point there. And there's another one that's here, but it's like folded-y, but that's where that's gonna go. Another point here. Okay. It's like a beach with a weird branch sticking out somewhere. Funny. Okay. Okay, so now where do I want to go with it? Okay, so I want this to come up a little bit higher. And I want it to kind of go like that, kind of come down. And then it goes into this like curved part there. I can't get into too much detail because my brush is a little too thick. That's not going to be my friend to get too thin, but I get the curve going, which is good. And then it's going to come down, and then it's going to kind of come up, and then I'm going to come over, and again, not going to stress about it being too pointy, because this brush is not going to do the pointiness for me the way I want it to be. Right, and then this is going to come out as well. A bit of a curve there. Okay. And then it's going to also come out, but again, this is not going to be detailed because I need to get my, oh yes, you know what, this just has to come down because the leaf is in the crack. So it's going to sit in front of this black line there. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna fill it in, I think, with this color, and then I'll make adjustments as we go. And once I put it in with my medium brush, I'll go to my fine point, and then I'll adjust accordingly. So this here, it looks like it kind of comes like this, and there it's kind of folded weirdly. And it kind of comes out, but then we're going to have to use the fine point to fix that up. And it comes down, and then it comes out. So I'm just really just following what I see in the photo to recreate this shape. But again, you can recreate any shape that you desire. Like if you're digging it, if you want to make it like your own, if you want to make it like a pure leaf, like just without having any creases and curves, like you can do that. You don't even have to make it a leaf. Maybe it's a receipt. I don't know, it's weird. But like it could be something else, like sticking in the groove of it, right? Maybe it's like a letter or something. I don't know. Okay, so that's the top part, and then we're going to have it come down, and we need it to come out like something like that. Okay. Okay, so that's where my leaf is going to sit for now. I'm going to get my fine brush so I can play with the edge of it. Or maybe I want to do some lightening first, actually. You know what, I might, I'm going to put the light, to lighten it up a bit, I think. I'm going to put some, I try to put white in some areas to lighten it because it's very dark. I definitely want this to be lighter in the middle part instead of See, when you have too much water on your brush, you get drops like that, and that is not cool, especially on a canvas board. But we can fix it, so no worries. We'll fix it up afterwards. No, I think. And then when we put more details, like once we do the outline better and we put in all the little details on the actual leaf, then it will pop. But right now, I just want to make it a little bit lighter. Bring it a little brighter in some spots. I'm just putting a bit of yellow, I'm putting some white. Just want to make it not as dark everywhere. I really can't see, it just looks kind of like a blur of shine. So that's what I'm doing in terms of the colors. So I just have it like a little bit of yellow and it's a little bit lighter. I think I need more, I do want to play with, I don't know if I think I have an orange. Do I have an orange? I feel like it's, I don't know if that's going to work the way I want it to, but we're going to try. Why not? Why not? Just going to play with it and just put some orange into this too. Playing with color, mixing it a little bit. I want to keep it dark on some of the areas that show it to darker. I'm not trying to be exactly like the image at all, like that's not ever what I aim for. I just want to capture the feeling of it. So go back to the brown and then we'll keep these areas a little bit darker. And a little bit darker here too. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the more pointy, my pointy brush, my fine detail-y brush, to play a little bit more with the that one, I think. Looks better. And this one's going to be Whoop. Like that. Okay. Okay, and this one comes like that, kind of. It's folded. That edge looks pretty good like that, actually. I'll keep it as such. Okay, and this one comes up. And it's like a little bit of like a broken leaf happening. So it kind of comes flat and then out. Okay, and I do want to make it slightly darker, just this point here. I do want to use that a little more. Kind of like that, I guess. And it's also quite dark on this side too. Just want to darken this side here a little bit. It's dark, but then there's also like a lightness to it, 'cause like the sun hits it, I guess, in a way. So how are we going to do that? I'm going to try and put in to make it look like the sun kind of hit it. I guess. Try that out and see. Okay, cool. Alright, let's play a little bit more. This needs to still be a little darker. Okay. Let's continue with this specific of the things because I got a little off track doing that. So we want this to be a little bit more curved. And then like a curve. Ooh, that's not a curve. That's a curve. Okay. And this kind of goes into a little curvy too. And it kind of comes down like that a little bit, a little bit. And then let's just smooth out these lines here. Be up higher, this little curve here. So I'm just going to bring that up here and then bring that down more. And make it a little fatter. Okay, cool. So I'll put a little more of that orange in here. So lighten it up slightly. Alright, so we got the, I don't know if you can see all the colors that are happening in there. Okay, so that's the leaf, even though it looks kind of weird right now. Okay. So we're going to add details on the leaf now to make it feel more like it's going to pop. So it's like a very, it's like a reddish brown, but like a dark, I don't know. I'm going to put a little bit of black into my brown just because I think that's what I'm going to need to make it stand out more, those lines in it. I don't know. I kind of want to put some red. I'm going to try it. I'm going to put a drop of red and see what happens. Maybe it'll go too crazy, but if it does, I will. Why not? Okay, cool. Kind of like a maroony color, but I think that works nicely. Okay. So I want to put in, so this main, it's kind of on its side, and it kind of goes where here. So I'm going to go like this. Make sure that's pretty even. Okay, and then we have it coming this way, and it's not as thick. There we go. I do want it to be a little bit more opaque. I might have to wait till it dries a bit. And then the same thing on here. There we go. Cool. Oh, I went below the line. Eepa. That's fine, we'll fix it. Okay, then here. Okay. And then here. Okay. And then right in this corner. Okay. And then it seems to come out this way too. There seems to be one this way too. So I can't really see it too much. But there we go. So we have the main vein in the leaf. I think I want to use this color a bit to put in some of the darker areas in the leaf, like the shadow and stuff. I think that might look kind of cool. I'll try and see. Okay. Now there are a bunch of little lines all over the leaf, which I don't think I'm going to delve into. If I did, I'd probably try to use like, I don't even know, like a very light orange. Ooh. I'm not even sure, because like if there's little like, I kind of do want to put like little, I feel like that's not going to look right if I do. I'm just going to try it a little bit. I don't think my brush is thin enough. Give this like crackly effect I would kind of like it to have. I'm just going to put a little bit in just for fun. Why not? I don't know if I love it or not, but it's all good. right. Oh, Alicia, that's okay. This is really tricky. Like it's again deceptively hard. It looks like it shouldn't be too difficult because it's just a leaf, but yeah, there's some interesting things about it. Like I'm not super much a fan of it either, to be honest. It's actually been really tricky. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to put in my shadow of the leaf and then I think I'm going to call it Dunzo. That is my plan. But I feel when I saw this, I thought the one that was going to be picked this week. I really thought that it was going to be the tree because there was one of like a tree and you're like looking like up into the leaves. And I was really surprised when it wasn't picked. I thought I was really surprised, but that's the way it is, right? Like kind of go with the flow of what. Oh, that is not a shadow color. That is way too light. Okay, let's get it darker. And go with the flow with whatever the voting goes. So I was surprised, but you know, yeah, kind of interesting. Okay, so by putting the shadow in, I'm going to try to really like dull it out with water. So that it's not just like black. Okay, so there's my shadow so far. Okay, I need to go with my thinner brush and just kind of continue it because, oh my gosh, too much water. How am I going to do this? Okay, there we go. All right, so I think I am going to call it complete for today. There we go. I'll move this up to see me again. There you go. All right, so there is my version of our inspiration painting. So I'm happy with the background of how we kind of captured the blurriness. I think that turned out pretty cool. The leaf is definitely clearer, so I like that about it. I don't love it, especially. I feel like it was difficult to get all the detailing. I didn't like go specifically to try to get it exactly. It might be good maybe to go with maybe like a paint, like a paint marker or something to get all those specifics if you want to get that detailed into it, which I think might be well worth it, especially if you're trying to get like a very specific close-up on something. So yeah, so definitely a fun exercise. I don't know if it was really definitely was not one of my favorites, I have to say. But I definitely think doing like kind of a blurry background was kind of cool. And I want to try and do some more blurry backgrounds with more of a focus or a subject right in the front, maybe like birds or butterflies or something like that. So I think that'd be kind of neat. Maybe we'll do something like that coming up. Anyways, thank you all so much for joining. I hope you've enjoyed this paint party. And on Saturday, there'll be 3 more options that you can vote on. And the one that has the most votes by next Tuesday at noon will be the one that we'll paint all together Wednesday night next week. And that is it for today. So have a fantastic rest of your week. And I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.